Okay, what do we got? Okay, I'm gonna do a little test. If I sit down,
I'll
be like, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe a little closer.
Just
Move you closer. If hopefully this doesn't. Okay. That's better.
Yeah.
Hi
there
guys. We go. Welcome to another episode of Ponyback the YouTube channel. Yeah. I need to work on that whole thing. What is the intro? How do we start this each time?
How do we start and end every time?
I don't know. Just come along for the adventure on it being different each and every single time.
Until we find the right thing.
Until we find the right thing. Thank you so much for being here today, and I just want to remind you, if you haven't already, it would mean the world to me if you would just click on that subscribe button and follow along on our journey and be notified each and every week of our episodes. That would be awesome. I just realized I keep looking at us, but I need to look.
Oh, I was totally looking at that one.
I know.
That trips you up.
It does. We need to remember to look at the lens.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting.
Yeah, I totally forgot.
It's like we're very self-obsessed with her. Like, I'm
When we're
watching
staring
myself.
at it, yeah.
It reminds me of this TikTok sound. Like, have you seen the trend where it's, what is it? It's
I
like,
hate when this happens.
I know. It was like, I just saw it today. Hold on. I have it saved. It's so good. Yeah, of like looking at yourself.
Looking at yourself, yeah.
Here it is. This one.
Yes, I've seen that one. That's true. Because we're literally always staring there.
Yeah, it's perfect.
That's good.
I want to do that one someday. Anyways, sorry, there's a lot. We always get distracted. Okay, so today we are talking about how social media blew up our business last year. And so I thought how we would structure this. Sorry, you need this back, and I took your. There you go. Hanneke is going to be assisting me because I put a call out on social media for you guys to ask any questions. But I thought how we would start would be that I would start just telling the story of what happened last year in case you haven't been here from the beginning and you have questions about how that even occurred. And then we'd go into some Q&A. So that is our very rough plan. I just wrote down a few short notes so I wouldn't forget what happened when in the important milestones. So we're gonna take you back 1 year ago to January 2021. And what was happening in January was that I had just given up my part-time teaching job. I was on a leave of absence, and I had full-time hours except for looking after my kids because they were doing virtual school. That was fun. But I was full-time focused on Ponyback. I didn't have my part-time teaching job that I was doing earlier in the year. So it was January, and I am now super focused, and I am also a bit concerned that we had launched in June of 2020, and I hadn't seen, we had some good traction. I'm not gonna lie. We had sales, but you
weren't sure how everything was gonna fall out, or how it would go.
I wasn't sure how it would go because really my only customers at that point prior to January 2021 were people who lived near me, within the half an hour near.
Yeah.
And the people that knew through social media locally who I was, and those people were my customers at that point. And so I hadn't really broken out of the local hemisphere, if you will. So in January, I was feeling a mix of things. One, I was feeling I felt like it would pop off. I had this optimistic belief that something was going to happen. But at the same time of having that optimistic belief, I was still worried because it hadn't happened yet. And I was trying to be patient, but you start to get a little antsy.
And you had just also fully not been a teacher. It's all Ponyback, so it's even more you had more time to think and wonder and what was gonna happen.
Yeah, so I it was this weird place of really believing that I had something, but also like just really unsure. Like, and anyway, I had a few months to give this a go, because by I think March or April, I had to let my teaching, I had to let my board know whether or not I was returning. Like I had to make that decision by essentially like March or April.
Oh. So like you're like, let's go. We gotta get this show on the road.
It was like do or die, or I don't know. It was like all in. I have to make something of this. So I remember in January of 2021. I don't know if you guys know who Gary V is, but he's just like an influencer in like the businessy space. He helped his dad's wine business grow really huge because of YouTube. And I was following him and listening to a lot of his advice around this time. And he was preaching TikTok. Like, you gotta be on TikTok, you gotta be posting 2 to 3 times a day. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna listen to Gary, I'm gonna go all in. And prior to January, like I had been dabbling in TikTok, but really only using it to like, I just liked it better than Instagram Reels at the time because it wasn't very, like the functions were kind of horrible. So I was just like kind of playing around in TikTok, but didn't have a serious commitment. But January came and I was like, this is it.
Your resolution, your New Year's
my New Year's resolution was like consistency on TikTok. And so I did. I started posting at least once a day. But like the goal was like to get to 3 times a day, but I have 3 kids and like some days that was impossible. So, but the goal was like post as much as you can essentially. And so I was doing that and my husband literally said to me, he's like, I think you're wasting your time.
And like keep in mind, you had 24 followers.
Yes, oh yes, that was on my notes. Sorry, I forgot that point. Yeah. January 1st, we had 24 followers on TikTok. And now all of a sudden I'm spending like 4 to 5 hours, if not more, per day on TikTok. And my husband is like, I think you're wasting your time. And I'm like, like Gary Vee said.
And like at that point, the 24, it's probably like your best friend and your like teacher. Like it's like 24 people that you probably know too that have already bought a hat or 2.
Yes. So, but it didn't matter. I just kept going and I was super committed. So I won't never forget the video where like it was the initial traction. I remember even the day of the week it was a Wednesday. And I remember being in my basement and it was the TikTok where, and I reposted it recently, it was like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go.
And wait, was it the one with the hats stacking?
Yeah, the hats were stacking. They were going 5 and then 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
This was the most advanced thing I had done yet on TikTok in terms of the video editing, and it was a struggle. Like I remember
sitting on WeVideo.
Well, I just remember the hats wouldn't stack properly.
Yeah, like it was a lot of work to get it.
It was so much work to get that without the hats falling, and they kept falling, and I kept needing to redo it. And I remember my husband made supper that night, and he's like, "Supper's ready," and I'm like, "I can't come." Like, I just need to finish this TikTok. I remember being like, I can't. It's working, but it's not working. And I was so committed, but I had almost given up. Like I'd almost not posted that TikTok because of like it just wasn't going well.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? No. And I just like resisted the urge to give up on it and just kept pushing through. And I will never forget, like, by the end of the night, I think it had 10,000 views, which
so like you posted it like before you went up to eat, like you finished it and then
I finished it and then went up to eat dinner. And then like earlier that evening, I'm like, oh my goodness, like this thing has 10,000 views like in one day, which was epic. Cause anything prior to that, I was getting like 50 views.
Yeah, and that's like, and like it was like, it probably felt so fast. Like you didn't go on your phone for an hour at dinner. You probably looked at it and there was like 5,000 and that had been like way more than what you had like prior.
And then by, I think Friday, I remember because we went up to our cottage and we were at the cottage and I just remember seeing the number kept climbing. I'm like, when? Like, what the heck is going on?
Like, when does it stop?
When does it stop? But then it started to pick up some real momentum around like 40,000. Then it grew to 50 and then 60 and 70 and 80 and it hit like 100,000 views like that night. And like immediately.
Like that Friday night?
Yeah, that Friday night. And immediately our sales went berserk.
Yeah.
And you started February 6th. So that was like January like 27th, I think, when that happened.
Yeah.
And I like turned around and was like, oh boy, I'm gonna need help.
You're like, this is happening.
I'm like, this is happening now. We're going.
And like with TikTok too, it's like when you're on the app, like you're probably reloading it and the number just keeps going up and up. And like watching that, like you're like probably like, what? Like this is crazy.
It was crazy.
Unreal.
And then I had like this whole renewed sense of like, okay, like this is it. People are responding to this hat. I can do this. It was an awesome time.
Yeah.
It really was. And I just remember, and you guys would, so then I hired Hanukkah, and then I hired Avery, who was also another student who lived near me, because at the time we were in my basement. So they'd come up to my basement, and they'd be packing orders in my basement, and each time they'd come over, I'd be like, guess what? This new TikTok like did really well. So after that first TikTok, then like I was on a roll of like getting ones that would get to like 100,000, 200,000, like in that range. For me, that was like epic.
Yeah. And then like the first time you ever got like 1 million, I just remember being in your basement and we had the like, every time an order came in, we had like the money sound. So it was like ka-ching. And like we had to turn it off because like it was just like the video kept getting more views and like all we heard, it was like every minute there was like an order coming in. And that was like, I just thought that was so cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. By the end of February, we were at like 13,000 followers on TikTok. And that just kept slowly growing. And we would see migration of people, like because of the TikToks and the link to your Instagram, then we were getting more followers on our Instagram. I feel like what put us over the top though was one specific viral TikTok that I reposted on Instagram Reels that went viral on Instagram.
It's like people who didn't have TikTok and people, like they saw that. Yeah.
I think it was that one, I don't know if you remember, it went like, let's go, and I like
level up. Wait, no, it went let's go, and then you did all the hairstyle. No, it was let's go.
It was let's go, and then I did all the different hairstyles.
Yeah. No, I remember that one.
I think it was that one that I had reposted.
You did. It did good on.
It did good on both.
Both, right? Yeah. It was like, it has like 3 million currently on like TikTok.
That really put us over the hump, and then we were sold out. I just got something in my eye. I'm fine.
And it's also like, I don't know, like we were sold out for not just like 2 weeks.
We were sold out for a very long time. Like we started selling out of things in February already, like some SKUs.
And then
by March, we were like pretty much cleared out of all adult sizes. We only had youth sizes left.
Yeah.
I was able to convince my manufacturer to send us stuff in like the beginning of April. So we had like just black small mediums that we like 900.
I remember that like you opened it like 1 minute early or something, and like then by like an hour they were all sold out and people were already emailing like, oh my gosh, like they're already sold out. Like I was like getting ready to go on the site and like people, like so many people are emailing because they saw the hats on TikTok, and like you just had so many more people like not like really upset or mad, just like like disappointed that they didn't get there in time because they sold out so fast.
I wish I would have recorded more of that stuff.
Or like your initial reaction. Yeah.
Like for you, if you're just getting started your business, like they say, like record every single thing you do. Like I'm not lying. Like record every single moment. Like I did not do that, and I regret it so much because in this moment we could be like flashing back and like look at how this started and what we were doing, and like so record everything. Anyway, we moved in June 1st. We moved into here, and that's really epic because like I launched June 1st, 2020, and then June 1st, 2021, we moved in.
I didn't even realize, that is cool.
And then like we were still sold out during that time, and that was actually a really huge gift because we didn't have inventory to move in here. So then like that shipment, that massive shipment that we had to come in.
Like imagine if that shipment came to your house and we had to like move it all here. Like we were fortunate too that we came at the time we did. We got everything. We like got set up.
The universe.
Yeah. Like, and then our big shipment came in and we had a loading dock and it was so new. Like,
and then we had to set up pre-orders. And by this time, like our email list was massive because we were sold out for so long and everybody wanted one that like we had grown our email list to like, I don't know, 12,000 people at that point. And then we put the June shipment up for pre-order, probably earlier in June, because then by the end of June we started fulfilling.
Yeah, in the end of June we started fulfilling, and then like literally the whole summer we were just packing orders.
The summer
all the time.
But I remember in June that there was this one viral TikTok that was like, I wasn't sure if anyone was gonna like my hat. and then it goes to like, then I clip it to like all the amazing comments that we got, like, oh, genius, like you should be on Shark Tank, like all this different stuff. That was the most, I feel like that was our best performing TikTok ever.
Yeah.
And then I remember telling, because at this point I had hired a couple of girls to help me with social media, because I was like running like a chicken with my head cut off. And so I needed help. And so they were helping me, and I was like, listen, like right before this pre-order, I want that TikTok to be released on Instagram Reels, because if it also does well, then that one should do really well. And I was right. And then that's what pushed us up to like hitting 30,000. That one video was what pushed us from like, I think we were at like 20.
Yeah.
And then that one pushed us to like 30,000 followers. Like it was crazy. Like we grew on Instagram that huge because of
the reel. Yeah.
We got to 30,000, fulfilled all of the orders that came in then from pre-order, and we had like, launched the new colors, we launched new fabrics, like it was a crazy
because like our Adventure Fit and Sporty Fit, that launched in July, right?
Yeah.
And like that was pretty popular too.
And then in September, I had another video that went viral on Instagram, and that pushed us up to where we are now at like 38,000 followers. So mostly the viral videos is what grew all of our accounts. And like, I'm gonna tell you, there's pros and cons. Like, listen, I am super fortunate, super blessed, super grateful that we went viral. But the downside is that we didn't grow slowly and organically. So I feel like it was, you know, a bit of luck that happened with the viralness, a bit of timing and luck, but I never really figured out like what is my consistent content pattern.
Yeah.
Like what is my consistent content that like performs well all of the time? I didn't have that figured. And so after all this happened, and then the platforms change, and you know, Reels and TikTok, you don't go viral as often anymore, like, because everybody now is on it and more people are producing way better quality stuff. And so it becomes more cutthroat. I quite honestly feel a little lost sometimes.
It's hard to go back to be like, oh, this is the route, this is what my people like, this is how I slowly grew, like I did this. Like you can't really go to that because it all happened so fast. And it just was like, you had a few and they were all kind of in the row, you did that, and then you blew up so fast that it's like hard too, because you can't go back and be like, oh, this is the pattern that got me here.
Right, there was no pattern.
Yeah.
It was pretty random. I mean, I will take it all day long. I will take it all day long. But just know that the downside of that happening is that like, you don't know then like what is your core content. And I see other creators on the platforms who like they don't have explosive growth, but they have consistent growth all of the time because they've worked out like what is the consistent content pattern that we have and what do we post, and then everyone comes to know them for that, whereas I don't really know what ours is yet. So I still feel like I'm in a place where I'm just trying to figure out what our consistent content pattern is. But you know, whatever, it's okay. This has been our journey, and I'm just gonna keep moving forward and try to figure out what that is.
Yeah, and like, you know, like you're so thankful for all the videos that you had that went viral, and now it's just like continuing to find like the ways to continue to grow and like figuring that out. And
figuring out other methods. Like I can't just rely on viral TikToks. That's not a good business plan. So now like figuring out what the other strategies are. And like, again, the other beauty of it was, in June, I had to decide, am I giving up my teaching job? And because of all the traction we had, I could confidently do that. So I guess, like, all in all, like, it was such a gift to be in that
state, to be like confident too, to do it. Because like it would have not been good either if like you weren't growing or whatever, and then you had to make that like kind of like like life altering decision.
To make a leap of faith without having that happen, it would have been so much harder. And I literally don't know, as I was saying earlier, like if I could have done it.
Yeah, and like now it was like you had that opportunity because of you growing on social media and like going viral, that you had the opportunity to like confidently be like, yeah, this is what I want to do and continue doing.
Yeah, anyways. So I had asked people on my Instagram stories, and I posted a TikTok asking questions, or getting you guys to ask me questions about what you want to know about social media. So I feel like we're gonna do that now.
Yeah. Well,
this might turn into a part 2. I don't know, maybe if we can fit it all into one. I feel like this is a pretty long video, but we're gonna answer some questions.
Yeah.
So Hanaka's gonna ask me the questions that came in, and we'll just roll.
So
with it.
one asked, how important have influencers been like helping you grow?
I think they're talking about influencers who've picked up my product to share about it. I think that's what they're asking. Like, okay, back in like a year ago, we had Just Being Jessica, who is Call Me Chris's sister. And she reached out and wanted a hat, and now we're like using her content as ads. But like a few things like that happened where influencers wanted our product, and we got a lot of inquiries. Like when we were going viral last spring, like I was getting bombarded with influencer inquiries that they wanted me to pay.
Yeah.
But the problem was that we were sold out. And like, so I couldn't
give hats.
It didn't make any sense. Like A, I didn't have hats to give away. B, I couldn't also, like, didn't make sense to pay these
and
people
like people
to
like
push product that we didn't have.
Yeah, like they're gonna like promote it, like talk about you, go to our site and see nothing.
Yeah, so it didn't make sense
Yeah.
last spring. And then slowly spring turned into off season, and we didn't do it. But now, like heading into this spring, that is one of the strategies that I'm going to be employing. We did start with like a brand ambassador program. So we use a platform called Woolly. Shout out to Woolly. They're a great platform for us. And so that's kind of where we directed any of our influencer inquiries to, is like sign up to be a brand ambassador, and then when we are able, like we will connect with you and start that growth. So that's coming up this spring, where that'll be another channel that I try to explore. But I haven't done very many paid influencer stuff.
Yeah.
Like a handful. Yeah.
And then another one asked, do you content plan, like have a schedule, like when you start each week?
There's been a few people during this past year who have helped me with my social media. I hired a few girls to do it last year, and they would content plan out in advance, and we would sort of have a schedule. And then Kieran, I don't know if you guys remember Kieran, she was my summer co-op student. Then she took it over during the summer, and then back in September, I kind of retook it back on. So I am doing the social media right now, all of it. TikTok, except for YouTube and Pinterest. That's not me. Christine, who edits these videos, is doing that for me. But I kind of start the month with like some core posts that I know I'm gonna do. And I have those in a planner called Planoly. We'll put a link to that in the show notes. And I love Planoly because you can actually like sort your grid according to like where you want everything to go. So I start the month off with just like 12 posts, like not reels or anything. And then throughout the month, then I know what kind of like my color scheme is or what's coming up, and then I slot in my reels around these kind of like core posts. So that is my current strategy. But for planning TikToks and for planning reels, that's really not planned. And I think the reason is because a lot of times the inspiration comes from TikTok trends, which like they just happen, like they're
like it's not like you can plan them a week, a month in advance.
And if you want to stay relevant, like you kind of got to be on top of just what's trending. So I don't plan those in advance, and that's more of a creative, like on the spot, in the moment type thing.
Yeah.
And then I just repurpose, like stuff kind of starts on TikTok, and that's where it sort of starts, and then we repurpose to all the other platforms.
Yeah. How do you keep all your time from getting sucked into keeping up with social media? Yet to be decided. Still unknown.
I know. It's not easy. Listen, like I spend a lot of my time on social media. A lot of my time doing that, creating content. But I feel like that's the place in which we live now. Like I feel like you need to be consistently creating content on every platform that you possibly can be creating content on, because of different like iOS updates. And I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this, but with the new iPhones, like Facebook and Instagram can't track your movement anymore, like around the internet. So like to retarget to people or advertise to people is much more challenging. And this is like making paid social media advertising like way more challenging for businesses and brands like me.
Yeah, and like to reach out to more people, like it's harder.
It's harder. It becomes more expensive. You just don't know how effective all of that is being done. And I feel like, and from the people that I follow, like you need to build a community. So, I mean,
and to build a community, you have to be present on your social media all the time.
Yeah. And really showing people other things. So, I mean, that's what we're doing. And I don't always know. And sometimes I'm afraid that like, oh, I'm spending too much time creating organic content. But I don't know. It so far served me well. So I'm gonna continue to do this strategy and like really, really focus on social media, like all the social media, like all the channels.
Yeah.
For another year, and then kind of go from there and reflect back on.
And I guess like after those 2 years, like you'll actually have more like data, I guess, that you can pull from. Whereas like right now, it's like you've only been doing it too for like not like a full year
and
kind of
last
thing.
year was sort of like an anomaly. Like I don't really feel like we had a consistent pattern.
It was more like, oh, things are starting, and then all of a sudden we got more followers, and then you're like kind of going with the flow more, and now
we were just survival to try to keep up with it all, honestly.
Survival mode.
It was survival.
Here we go.
Survival of the fittest.
Yeah.
I was not surviving all the time. It's true. Anyways.
And then, what was the best advice you received on this journey?
I think that there has been a few key things, like you need to be consistent. Like consistency is key. And that's hard too sometimes, because sometimes you need a break. Like sometimes I'm like nearing burnout and I need to take a break, but the algorithms want you to be posting consistently. So some advice that I got was like, post as much as you can, but also keep your sanity. And I feel like that's real. And there has been times where I have cut myself a break and I have lessened the quantity that I've been posting because of the season that I was in. It was just really challenging. So I think the other best piece of advice is like always be thinking about how you can efficiently capture content.
Yeah. Like for you, like you do a lot of like, oh, like I'm gonna do something that you already had to do, but then if you film it, so it's like you're doing something you were gonna do regardless, whether you were filming it or not, but then you film it and then only have to clip it together in 5 minutes and then you can post it. And that's like more beneficial to you because you were already gonna do that thing.
Yeah.
So you're doing it and then you're creating content with it, and then you don't have to sit later after you already finished that and then be like, oh, what TikTok am I gonna post today?
Yeah. So that's really helpful if you can capture those moments.
Yeah.